Okay, cool. Welcome to another episode of Stay on Topic. Good to see you, lovely, beautiful people. I am Joe Radicraze Rogan, and as you can see, I am here to talk about a little show called Curb Your Enthusiasm. I wanted to make this video because I've literally never met anyone in my circle or near my circle that's ever talked about this show, ever. And so when I was watching HBO Max and I saw this pop up, I kind of saw flashbacks in my head of seeing people use memes and gifs of it online. So I was like, maybe this is funny because I've seen people that I don't know talk about it. So why not kind of broaden my horizons and watch new things instead of just the same nonsense that I'm used to watching, right? And so I turned this show on. And by the way, this is just kind of like I've only watched the first 3 episodes of this show. So this is kind of my first impressions of how I like this show and how I feel about this show. So just straight up after watching like the first 5 minutes, I didn't think I was going to like this show. It was kind of strange watching. I found out after the fact that the first episode, like the first season is from like 2000. So it's kind of why it looks dated, but it kind of has this effect where it looks like it's being filmed like a home movie almost. Kind of like the newer documentary shows like The Office. Yeah, The Office is newer, sure. And Parks and Rec, where there's like a cameraman following them, except they kind of acknowledge the cameraman. But here it's just kind of a stylistic choice. And when I first started watching it, threw me off a little bit. It was like, am I watching a home movie? Is that what this show is about? And all of the dialogue at the beginning of the show almost feels like it's made to weed people out. Like, if you're not weird enough to watch this show, then this is your time to just stop watching it. Because the introductory dialogue of the first episode is literally about him wearing some pants that make him look like he has an erection. And he just talks about it with his wife, like an overly detailed, over the top conversation about it for like 5 minutes. And it's a weird way to start off a first episode of a first season, but that's kind of the idea I got from it, where it's like, hey, this is going to be kind of weird. So if weird's not your thing, you're not going to like Curb Your Enthusiasm. I'm pretty weird, so it didn't really shy me away. So I kept watching, obviously. I was more weirded out by the home movie vibe it had going than the actual conversation. So it didn't really take much for me to start feeling the vibe of this show. The main character, Larry David, we later find out, or you know what, I won't even say later. I later found out at the end of the episode, this guy in real life is a co-creator of the show Seinfeld, which I've never seen. Don't kill me for that. I've never watched an episode of Seinfeld. I've never been interested. Maybe one day, but apparently this show is a lot like Seinfeld. If that's true, then I'll give it a chance one of these days, but no time soon. So this entire episode is about kind of a day in the life of this guy, Larry David, who gets himself into all these different hijinks just by getting into arguments with people and lying. So he lies to his wife about an altercation he has in the movies, kind of, or I'll say he doesn't tell the full truth, and then he throws in some white lies about him getting an erection while he was sitting next to one of his friends, a lady friend, right? And he kind of lies about it and tells his wife, like, oh, she got the wrong idea because of my pants. And that's not what happened. He actually got an erection because of the friend. And it all kind of tumbles down when his wife calls the friend and they all three are in the same room, and it just blows up on him. And this happens a couple of times. Like, he calls his wife Hitler while he's on the phone with his best friend, and he finds out he's on speakerphone. His friend's parents, who are Jewish, hear it. So of course they're a little thrown off by it. And it's kind of hilarious. I start to get the feeling that this Larry David dude, he's pretty freaking conniving. And I'm like, oh, so this show is just going to be about this guy being a liar and things coming back in his face. And the second episode kind of reinforces that, where there's another lady friend that he's going out of his way to hang out with. Even he's lying to his wife about it. And he's like, this dude is just a habitual liar. He's a habitual line stepper. It's pretty funny. And he's a guy that has a lot of he sometimes comes off as a know-it-all. He comes off as just a very flawed guy. He has these over-the-top arguments where he feels like he's always in the right, and he's willing to go the extra mile to argue with people, to tell them how they're wrong. And it just always turns into a problem anytime he's just trying to live a normal life, because he always comes in conflict with someone. And so through the first 3 episodes, I gotta say, it keeps you interested to have a flawed main character, somebody that's just a liar at their core or by default, someone that has to be a contrarian sometimes, makes for a very interesting story. Like, none of these episodes are connected. It's just a day in the life every episode, which is why this show is still going in 2021, and I believe it's coming up on its 10th or 11th season. If you have a character like that who's your centerpiece, you'll never run out of stories to tell. Like, if you have a guy that's just a good guy, stuff is going to get stale eventually because there's no flaws to exploit. Or if they only have maybe one flaw and that gets resolved and wrapped up, it feels old if you keep bringing it back. Think if you watch Dragon Ball Z, think Goku and Vegeta. There are some times in Dragon Ball where the story gets stale and it has to rely a lot on combat and action to keep readers and watchers interested, because that's Goku's character. He's just a good guy, a good naive guy. So he does a lot of the same stuff every story arc. Vegeta was a bad guy that turned into a good guy. So sometimes you see the same stuff with Vegeta dealing with his demons. We've seen it before, but they have to think of new ways to revolutionize it. If you have a guy, your main character is just always doing something stupid, is always lying about something to get away with it, is always getting in arguments about the most simple things and it turns into a big thing, you'll never run out of stories to tell. It's just pretty quirky, and I like the over-the-top dialogue. Even in one scene, he's with one of his wife's lady friends and the lady friend's mother, and they're having lunch. And he accidentally drinks water out of the mom's lunch, and she's like, "Oh, that's my water." And his immediate reaction is to go, "Ugh!" and spit and start coughing. Just immediately. He's just like a douchebag by nature, and it's so funny. It's hilarious. And it's just an awkward silence after that. There's no dramatic talking or, oh, now there's a character arc on how he has to redeem himself. It's just awkward because he's an awkward, rude guy, right? And so before watching this show, I kind of hesitated. I was worried about watching it because with a lot of sitcoms, modern sitcoms, I always get I call it the Friends effect. I'm always afraid that a sitcom, if you can even consider this a sitcom, I'm sure you can, I don't know. A sitcom is going to go the Friends route with comedy. In my opinion, I know Friends has a lot of fans out there. That's great. Friends has some of the laziest comedy I've ever seen. In my opinion. Again, everybody has a different sense of humor. Before I recorded this video, I went and watched a 10-minute video of Friends' funniest moments. And I'm not lying, I did not crack a smile one time. It wasn't funny. I was more amused that they thought it was funny. Like, a Friends joke is literally something along the lines of, "Hey, did you take the trash out? Why would I do that?" And then the laugh track comes on. And it just goes on. There's like 50 laugh tracks in every episode, and it's just from normal dialogue. There's no punchline. It's not funny to me. And so I'm always scared that sitcoms and long-running shows follow that formula because people clearly like it. People are fighting to keep Friends on Netflix. People love Friends. It's just not for me. And that style of comedy is not for me. This is coming from the guy that thinks fart jokes are hilarious. So, I mean, you can judge me too. It doesn't really matter. All in all, I'm off topic because I always am. This isn't supposed to be a super long video. It's kind of just like a stream of consciousness because that's all I'm good at, like I always say. If you haven't seen Curb Your Enthusiasm, go check it out. It's on HBO Max. If you have seen it, leave a comment. Tell me what you think about it. If you think it's brilliant, if you think it's stupid, if you think it's boring, if you think it's weird. Who cares? I hope you have a great day. Make sure you wear a mask when you're out because the COVID is ramping back up. Be safe, drink some water, and have a good one.